Today I'm going to be doing my quiz. So, hold on. I have my questions, and I have my diagrams. So, compare and contrast spermatogenesis and oogenesis. Spermatogenesis happens in the testes, and it produces 4 functional sperm cells from 1 germ cell, and it begins at puberty and continues throughout throughout life. And sperm are small, motile, and designed for travel. And then the oogenesis, it happens in the ovaries and produces 1 functional egg cell and 3 polar bodies from 1 germ cell. It starts before birth, pauses, and restarts at puberty, and it ends at menopause. Eggs are large, nutrient-filled, and not motile. And then the similarities are both are forms of meiosis, and they both start with diploid cells and end with haploid gametes, and both are controlled by hormones FSH and LH. Okay, number 2, draw a diagram of the male reproductive system. Point out the parts and describe the function of each part. Okay, so this is the male reproductive system, and then this is your bladder, and it stores urine, and it's not part of the reproductive system, but it's nearby. And then this is the prostate gland, and it adds fluid to semen, and it helps sperm survive. And then this is the urethra, and it carries semen and urine out of the body. And then these are the testes, and they produce sperm and testosterone. This is the epididymis, and it stores sperm so they can mature. And then that's the penis, and it delivers sperm into the female reproductive system. Okay, number 3. Draw a diagram of the female reproductive system, point out the parts, and describe the function of each part. Okay. Okay, so these are the ovaries, and they produce eggs and hormones. So they produce estrogen and progesterone. And then this is the uterine, and it transports the egg. It's the site of fertilization. And then this is the uterus, and it supports the embryo and fetus during pregnancy. And then this is the cervix, and it's a narrow opening that connects the uterus to the vagina. And then this is the vagina, and it's the birth canal, and it receives sperm during intercourse. Okay, so number 4. Describe what factors change during the menstrual cycle, as well as conditions that lead to menopause. So, factors that change during the menstrual cycle and menopause conditions. So, hormone levels change. Estrogen and progesterone rise and fall, and then ovarian events. So follicle develops egg, and egg ovulates, and corpus luteum forms, and then uterine lining thickens during luteal phase and sheds during menstruation, and then the basal body temperature site rise after ovulation and due to progesterone. And then when menopause occurs, the ovaries stop releasing eggs, and estrogen and progesterone drop permanently, and usually happens between ages 45 to 55, and it results in symptoms like hot flashes, irregular periods, and mood changes can occur. Okay. So, list and describe 4 types of contraceptives. Additionally, list and describe 4 types of contraceptives. Additionally, explain how effective each type of contraceptive is in preventing the spread of sexually transmitted infections. Okay, so condoms, and that's a barrier method. It prevents sperm from entering the vagina and protect against STIs and STDs, and it's the best non-abstinence method, and its effectiveness with perfect use is 98%. And then birth control pills, hormonal birth control pills, prevent ovulation and protect against STIs and STDs. They don't protect you from that. And then the effectiveness is 99% with perfect use and 93% with typical use. And then the IUD, it prevents fertilization. It's copper, and copper is toxic to sperm, and hormonal thickens mucus, and it does not protect against STIs and STDs, and the effectiveness is over 99%. And then 4, abstinence, no sexual intercourse, so you won't have any STDs or STIs, and 100% when followed strictly. Number 6, what else did you find interesting about the reproductive system that was not covered in the Quizzer Labs? I found it interesting that a baby girl is born with all the eggs she will ever have, but boys do not begin making sperm until puberty. And then another thing I found interesting is that sperm can survive inside the female reproductive tract for up to 5 days, which is why pregnancy can still occur from intercourse days after ovulation. So, thank you.